introduction on yourself while I get that set up for you?
Sure. So, folks, I don't know how many are on the call, but I represent
64.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
There's the slide right there. All right. So I work for the Small Business Administration. I worked for the SBA for the last 11 years. Small Business Administration is a federal entity, federal agency. We're one of the smaller federal agencies. Right now, we are the spearhead trying to fight off economic disaster for our country. So we have a lot on our plate. I'm going to go through these slides quickly. I apologize, but you're busy and I don't have a lot of time. So first, let's talk about our economic injury disaster loan. SBA is typically involved with disaster loans, and usually in the state of Florida, they have to do with hurricanes. But in this case, it has to do with economic injury. So what businesses are eligible to apply? It applies to most small businesses and most private nonprofit organizations. On the bottom of the slide there, it talks about this includes businesses directly affected by the disaster. Also, other businesses indirectly related to the industry that are likely to be harmed by losses in their community. For example, if you're a manufacturer of widgets, you may be eligible, as well as the wholesaler and retailer of the product. So basically, everyone in that whole supply chain has been affected by that. And am I advancing the slides, Liz, or are you?
I can. Are we on?
Oh, okay, sure. Next slide. Anyway, anybody in that supply chain who's affected can be eligible. And unfortunately, just about every industry out there is affected right now. So some basics related to this. It is a loan, so you do have to qualify for the loan. And the criteria for the loan is more lenient than it would be for a conventional loan going through a bank, but you still have to have a decent credit history. If you're not sure if you're on the bubble, then if it were me, I would apply. Second bullet there, repayment. So it is a loan, it's not a grant. As far as the repayment time frame, there's an algorithm that the SBA uses, but it's based on your working capital or projected working capital. So in many cases, this will be strung out over 20 up to 30 years. And you could pay it off early if you like, but if it's stretched out over 20 or 30 years, it really helps you from a cash flow perspective. So we want to get paid back, but we also want you to be in a position where you can pay it back. Eligibility. So on the bottom of the slide there, it says applicant businesses must be physically located in the declared county. In this case, we're talking about just anywhere in the state of Florida. And you must have suffered working capital losses. So we're not particularly looking at your sales or profits. We're looking at your inability to pay for your typical expenses, such as payroll, any other monthly expenses that you typically have. Next slide, please. So the terms of the loan, you may qualify for loans up to $2 million. The interest rates are 3.75%, which is very reasonable. If you're a nonprofit, it's only 2.75%. Eligibility for these working capital loans are based on the size. So you must be a small business, and whether you're a small business or not is based on your North American Industrial Classification Standard Code, or NAICS code, NAICS. If you're not sure what that is, then if you go to census.gov and do a search for NAICS, NAICS, you can find out the size standard. 97% of all businesses in the United States are small businesses. So odds are, if you're on this call, you probably are a small business.
That's a good thing then.
What's that?
I said that's a good thing then.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, how can I use the loan funds? So these are working capital loans. So they're used to pay your fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, other bills that could have been paid had a disaster not occurred. So they're typically month-to-month expenses. The loans are not intended to replace lost sales or profits. Next slide. I'm going through these quickly, folks. I apologize, but we don't have a whole lot of time. So the terms of the loan: economic injury disaster loans over $25,000 require collateral. So for less than $25,000, they're unsecured loans. You don't have to have collateral at all. If it's over $25,000, the SBA is going to look to see if you have collateral. If you don't have collateral at all, then you may still qualify for a loan over $25,000. If you do have collateral, then the SBA is going to ask you to use that collateral if you want a loan over $25,000. And even if somebody else already has a lien on that property, such as a bank, then the SBA would take a lower position as far as that collateral, but they are going to ask you to put up that collateral. At the bottom of the slide there, it says SBA will not decline a loan for lack of collateral, but requires borrowers to pledge what is available. Next slide.
Lonnie, at this moment, has Palm Beach County been determined a disaster area?
It has been. The entire state of Florida has been.
Okay, thank you.
And we're talking about the SBA loan right now. Okay, so as of this morning, a brand new website just went up where you could do this online. And so not only did they put up this new website, but they cleaned up some of the processes to make it faster. So the whole point is to make this whole process go a lot easier for you. And so that link is right there at the top of the slide. Liz, can you share this with our participants?
Yes, so everyone on this call, I will be sending this PowerPoint slide to you via email after the call, so you have all of this.
Great.
And what is the turnaround time for these loans?
Great question. Great question. And unfortunately, I have no idea because we've never had any situation of this magnitude before. Everyone is doing everything they can. We're also hiring on a lot of people to help with the processing and getting the very best people to make the systems flow faster. But unfortunately, I really can't answer that question just yet. All I know is that if you, as of right now, if you apply online using this new website, that's the fastest way you could possibly get this done. The other part of it too, though, is make sure that you submit any documents. So if they're asking for supplemental materials or download of supplemental materials, please make sure you do that so that it doesn't get called back. Also, if you when you submit a phone, make sure it's a phone number that you're going to answer, because if anybody has any questions, eventually this is going to get to the person who's going to approve it to get you your money. And when they call you, make sure you're there to answer your phone. So for the next, until that gets approved, sleep with your cell phone. Put in a number that somebody is going to answer. It's in your best interest to do that. So there's actually three ways to apply. On the very top of the screen, you can apply online. In the middle of the screen, you can do paper documents and submit it that way. And so there's two ways to submit the paper documents. One is you can upload them. If you go to that website, there's a Dropbox where you could scan and upload your documents to the Dropbox. And then lastly, in that middle slide, there's in the middle of the page there, if you go to that website, there's also an address there, so that if you were to make hard copies, you can mail them in to our office in Texas. So there are three different ways to apply. Again, the fastest way is on the very top. And next slide. Okay, so the state of Florida has a bridge loan program. This is not an SBA program, but it's a really good opportunity for you potentially. So it's through the state of Florida. And I don't work for the state of Florida. I'm just letting you know about this because it can be a great place for you to get money quickly. So it's a bridge loan. It's a short-term loan, zero interest up to 12 months. You're borrowing money from the state of Florida. It's not a grant, so they want you to pay the money back. But as long as you have 2 employees or more, if you're the business owner, you and one other person or more, the amount is up to $50,000. And so they do expect you to pay the loan back within 12 months. One of the, when you go to fill out this application, it asks, how are you going to pay back the loan? And one of the first boxes on there is it says SBA loan or SBA disaster loan. So in a way, they're counting on you to get an SBA disaster loan to pay them back. So that's a great opportunity. It's something that you might want to look at. Again, this is done online too. If you go to that website, floridadisasterloan.org. Last slide. And I'm still within, am I still within my time frame?
Yes, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay, so we might even have time for a couple of questions.
Nice.
I don't know. Don't ask me anything. Oh, actually, let me talk about the new program. So there's a new program. The details have yet to be worked out, but it has to do with borrowing money through a bank. And from what I understand, if you retain all your employees, you may be able to be compensated for that. However, the details on how that is all going to work still have not been worked out. Hopefully, I'll have those details within a, oh, next slide, please. Hopefully, we'll have the details on that within a day or two. So I encourage everyone to sign up. In the middle of this page, there's a place for you to get all the latest information. So if you go to www.sba.gov/updates, updates period, then what it's going to ask you, it's going to ask for your email address and your zip code. So if we get that information from you, then you can get all the latest information out of the SBA. You'll get it just almost as fast as I do. And it'll keep you abreast of everything that's going on. Not only that, but there's a lot of bad information out there, and there's a lot of bad websites. There are a lot of, unfortunately, the criminals all come out at a time like this. So you need to be really careful about which websites you're going to. If it's a government website, if it's federal government website, the URL will always end in .gov. So make sure you're not going to any .com websites, because if you're at a .com website, you're in the wrong place. And anyway, we don't have information about the new program. I just have information about the current program that's out there. So at the very bottom of the slide there, we're doing virtual office hours out of our office in Miami, and there's a place for you to call in on the very bottom. They're taking place for 2 hours every day this week, and I'm sure we're going to have some manner like this continuing. So if you sign them up on the updates, you'll stay abreast of what's going on. But we're doing, it's called virtual office hours, so it's a place to do question and answers. And so it's going on for 4 hours every day, every weekday this week. And at the bottom, we're using the same call-in number and the same login number for all of that, all of this week. So how did I do on time, Liz?
You did fantastic. Thank you so much. And we're so grateful that you took the time this morning. I know you're very busy to be with us. Do we have just a few minutes? I know people are asking questions. Can I just ask, if you know the answer, great. If not, then we can direct them to participate in the virtual office hours or go to the website that I'll be sharing.
Okay, I see the first question from Angela. She asked, how does this loan compare to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity Small Business Bridge Loan? It's the same thing. So they're both the same thing. So if you were to click on that, the website for Florida, what did it say? Wrong slide there. FloridaDisasterLoan.org. You will eventually end up at the Department of Economic Opportunity website. Same program. Do 1099, another question from Roxanne, do 1099 employees qualify as employees for the Florida Bridge Loan Program? I believe so, but I don't know. That's a state program, and I can't answer that technical question related to the state program. I believe you would, but I can't answer that. Are we planning to do this in Spanish or Creole? At this time, no. However, please continue, again, sign up for the updates from the SBA, and as more information comes out, then we will let you know.
Will you speak about the 10K cash advance grant? Do you know?
So that is another, the $10,000 cash advance grant has to do with the no program. And again, we don't have details on that just yet. Hopefully I'll have them in the next day or two, but I apologize, Audra, but I can't really speak to that without knowing the full details. One of the things I do know about the newer programs is that the latest one is one where you're going to be applying through a bank, and it's comparable to our 7A loan program, but I don't have all the details, so I shouldn't say any more related to that.
SBA loan, You can go through directly to the SBA and through a bank?
No, those are two different loans. So if
Okay.
it's economic injury disaster loan, that one uses Department of Treasury funds, and you are going through the SBA. So that's the program that's up and running right now. The program that's about to roll out in the next several days is one where you would be going through a bank. And in that case, you're using the bank's funds, and the bank is going to be reimbursed by the our federal government down the road. More details to come. Okay, another question. If your nonprofit doesn't have established credit, is it possible to get the loan? If you're not sure, I would apply. So most of the private nonprofits are eligible, such as food banks, such as, I don't know, folks that help the homeless. So if you're not sure, I would apply and see what happens. If you're still not sure, there's a customer service number, then call the customer service number. There's a really long wait, unfortunately, because people are calling from all over the country. But they should be able to answer any technical questions related to that. Is a 3.75% interest rate fixed or variable? It's a fixed rate. The current loan asks us to tell our economic loss. How do we answer when we do not know how long this will last? So really what they're looking at is your working capital that you're not going to be able to pay. So really what they're really looking for is, let's say, for example, if you're, this is kind of hard to explain in a short period of time, but they're just looking for what you can't pay in terms of losses. So let's say last year that you were, your total expenses last year were $100,000 a month, and now you still have those $100,000 a month expenses, but you don't have any revenue coming in. So that's basically what your economic loss is. It's your inability to pay that amount. So maybe you had just enough to cover that last year, but now you don't have any of it. So it could be that your economic loss is now $90,000 a month, whereas last year it was zero. Can you apply for both options loans, the bridge loan and the SBA disaster loan? Yes, you can apply for both. I don't know the details of this new loan and what the details are on that particular loan, but as far as the state bridge loan and the SBA economic injury disaster loan, yes, you can apply for both of those. Gasant asks, is there additional information we need to submit? How and where should we submit it? It's going to give you all the details when you go to fill out the application. And how are we doing on time?
Look, if you just have any last questions, we're going to be wrapping up here in the next minute. We encourage you to type them into the chat room. Like I had mentioned previously, this Zoom room chat is being recorded. We are going to publish it on our website. In addition, this PowerPoint that Lonnie shared with everyone this morning, I'm going to distribute it via email after the meeting is over with. So you'll have links and all the information that he went over as well.
Okay, one of the things I need to add is that this is information that's current as of right now, this morning, March 30th, 2020 at 10:30 in the morning. Some of this could change. It very likely will change. We've had a lot of things change in the last week related to how to apply and what the rules are. So what I'm sharing with you is what is current as of right now. But given that this new program is about to roll out in the next couple of days, many things could change. So I apologize for that. This is only current right now.
I saw someone ask, is there a deadline to submit the application?
It is at the end of the year. I believe it's December 21st of 2020. That's for the SBA program. I don't know what the state, I know the state has their own deadline, and I don't know what that is. One last question from Ryan. He asked 2019 or 2020 data used. And well, as far as projections, you would be using 2020 projections. However, they do want 2019 data, for example, sales data from 2019. And in many cases, they want to see how the sales have dropped off on March 2019 versus March of 2020. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you again, Lonnie. So we're so excited that you guys were all here with us this morning. We got a lot of great information from Lonnie and the SBA. If you, like I mentioned before, we're recording this whole Zoom room so you can go back and review it. It'll be available on our website later today. Additionally, I'll be sharing the PowerPoint that Lonnie shared with us, so you'll have access to all the links and information that he went over. I want to encourage you to join us again, same place, same time, Monday, April 6th, which is a week from today. We'll be having the president of D. Stevenson Construction, Joseph Sanchez, discussing how small businesses can manage through a crisis, tips and strategies to stay afloat, as well as Thea Sullivan, who is the first vice president of Valley National Bank, and she'll be discussing programs that the City of West Palm Beach and Valley National Bank have for small businesses. And then looking ahead from there, the following Monday, which is going into April 13th, Monday at 10 a.m., we're going to be having hopefully someone talking about how you can transform your business to a digital platform if you have not yet done so. So we have a lot of things in store, exciting things happening here. So we hope that you continue to join us every Monday at 10 a.m. If you have any questions, you guys know how to reach me on my email or cell phone. And I look forward to seeing you here again next Monday. And thank you again for your patience and grace. Like I said, this is our first time hosting this, so I hope each Monday you'll see me getting better at hosting these Zoom platforms. So thank you so much for your patience and your feedback. And I look forward to seeing you Monday. Have a great week. Thank you.
And let me just say this, Liz, if anyone has a particular topic that they want to address, please send in your suggestions to Liz, and we'll get an expert in that area to discuss that particular topic. So please email us some feedback on what you need to know and what you need to learn to help you get through this crisis, and we will do all we can to facilitate that request.
All right, thank you, Dickie. Like I said, thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you guys or hearing from you this week, and we'll see you on Monday again. Have a great week.
Bye.
Signing off.
Bye-bye.
I just don't know how to turn this off now.